Just move that over.
The market is crazy.
We're still setting up.
We're still setting up. What really is going on? Stay tuned.
Tricked me. Oh, I tell you what, it's those Monday nights come around super fast, don't they? Super fast. Yeah, they really do. They really do. What's going on? What's happening? We're going to talk to you guys, and Mark surprised me and put me live on air, and I wasn't quite ready yet. So just excuse me while I adjust my chair.
What's happening in the commercial property market? What's happening in the residential property market, rentals and sales?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about it tonight, and it's sort of, I guess, whenever we're on the phone with clients, probably half the people ask us this question: what's our take? What do we think? So if you're sort of wondering what's happening out there, we're going to very quickly go through the birds and the bees of what's happening out there.
Yeah, so I think, there's so many mixed messages. That's the big thing. People are constantly hearing all sorts of different reporting going on in the media. And, it's hard as agents on the ground to actually be able to understand this market for the last 12 months has literally been a roller coaster, hasn't it?
It's nuts.
It really has. One minute the media is reporting, there's no stock. 1 minute the media is reporting there's lots of buyers. 1 minute the media is reporting auction clearance rates are up. Auction clearance rates are down. Interest rates are going up. Interest rates are going down. And these mixed messages in the market are just so confusing. As I said, it's hard enough being an agent on the ground, let alone a buyer, a seller, a landlord, a tenant. It must be near impossible for you guys to be able to read the play with what's going on with the market. So we're just going to unpack it a little bit for you guys tonight. Yes. What are we going to start with? I feel a bit frazzled. I ran in here and then Mark's like, we're live. Look, the hair's a mess.
Let's start first with commercial.
Okay, over to you, Mr. Commercial.
Rentals. Businesses getting conservative with rentals. So we do obviously retail shops, we do offices for rent, big stuff, little stuff, and people are more conservative. So people are definitely not as bullish as they were. If you're opening a new business at the moment, these guys have wonderful businesses that they're opening, but they're conservative. So I'm finding that the landlords are actually more receptive to doing deals, and that's the commercial rental market. So it's stable.
Has it gotten better? So let's talk about just the last 12 months. Has it gotten better?
No.
Than what it was? No. So it's remained quite stable.
Active stock. There's more active stock in the market. To give you an idea, in the last quarter, if you're tracking real commercial, there's 40 properties that have come on the market. There's 30 that are leased, which is 10 a month. So leasing's harder for commercial leasing at the moment.
And let's just talk about, so that people out there can understand, what does the average days on market look like for a commercial property?
That's a scary question. Do you know what I actually find balancing? If it's a new property coming to the market and it's finding a new value, it takes owners a while to realise where their value lies. There's not a lot of comparisons for some of these properties. So that being the case, it's probably something like 90 days of vacancy within it potentially, so it takes a little bit longer. But if the owner's just happy to get a conservative amount of rent, just wants to get it rented, just wants to do a deal, doesn't want to miss a month's rent, and that's sort of more around that 30 days. Pretty quick.
Right, okay.
For the commercial, it's pretty quick.
Let's talk about what's going on in the property market, and then we can address what's going on in rentals as well.
Yep.
So, guys, for those of you that have just tuned in, good evening. We're unpacking what is really going on in the property market. We're based here on the Northern Beaches, but I think it's quite unanimous across Sydney at the moment with what's going on with the market. I certainly know it is around eastern suburbs, Mossman area, because I've got a property on the market there, and then Northern Beaches. They all seem to be in sync at the moment, those markets.
Yep.
I've been talking to some agents that are in WA and in Adelaide, and I believe those markets are going absolutely gangbusters. I believe Perth and areas like that, they've got no stock, no stock. So those markets have gone a little bit crazy.
And no stock's good capital growth. heaps of stock in the market, it's like you got to drop your price a little
Yeah.
bit. So no stock markets are really healthy markets.
I want to just talk as well about auction clearance rates. We did an auction on Saturday night. Sold in DY, beautiful penthouse.
Yeah.
Sold under the hammer for $2.85 million. It was 200 metres squared.
Yes.
Internally, it wasn't that big. It had quite a bit of outside area, didn't it?
I reckon internally it was probably more like a 130, 140.
Yeah. So that went for 2.85. But Tom Panos, many of you guys will know, is he's a bit of a celebrity in our industry. He's certainly a big spokesperson in the real estate industry.
I'm a big fan of Tom.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's an awesome guy. And Tom was saying, just, you want to watch those auction clearance rates when you're reviewing them over the weekend, because the data doesn't come through that quickly. You've got a whole realm of agents and agencies out there that actually aren't reporting their auction sales until maybe Monday.
Yep.
So auction clearance rates, when you're seeing 70% over the weekend, it's not entirely accurate, guys. So you just want to watch that data.
You are pulling 7 days, so you're probably pulling some old data from the week before.
Yeah.
I guess it's, you've got to have some sort of litmus test of some sort. So
you do.
It's
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Good,
So let's talk about what's happening on the ground with property here on the Northern Beaches. Stock levels about a week and a half ago were sitting at around sort of 600, and now that's collectively across apartments and houses, and now they've actually bounced up to about 680. So thereabouts. I think we worked out they're up about 20%.
12% more.
Oh, 12 was it?
Yeah,
12%.
That metric in a month, that's realestate.com.au stock, which is the most prominent website on the Northern Beaches.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good metric. It's all agents. There's 180 agencies that are sitting on the Northern Beaches. Now, for anyone who's not on the Northern Beaches, I do have to say, we've done, I love my data. I have to apologise in advance, but I love data. But we always work closely with our reps, which are national. So our reps that are coming in have got national metrics. And one thing that we learned certainly since COVID, since 2000, is when we're looking at the Northern Beaches, for everyone who's not in the Northern Beaches, it often has a first move advantage or disadvantage or whatever you want to call it, but it's first move. So we like reporting Northern Beaches because it's often the trendsetter for a lot of Sydney and a lot of New South Wales.
This is true.
Regional stuff.
Yep.
So take note that this, if it isn't happening, it probably will happen.
Yeah.
In the times ahead for you if you're out of Northern Beaches.
So let's just talk about those stock levels, guys, because they came up, let's say, by about 100 properties over the last week and a half.
Yeah.
Does that mean, this is the avalanche of property that is to come to market for spring? There's always this big conversation about the spring selling season, and I always have a little bit of a giggle
When
because
spring start?
Well, spring starts in September.
First?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and often, people talk about the spring selling season and they sort of hold on and they wait for all this stock to launch. If you're a seller, you don't want to be selling in competition with all the properties. I would say you're best to sell in isolation than in competition. But here's my take on what's going on at the moment with the property market on the beaches. I think that spring selling season, exactly as it did last year, has actually come early. We saw approximately 100 properties hit the market in a week and a half, and I reckon it's here early. And again, my prediction is exactly like what happened last year. That's going to be it.
Yep.
I don't think we're going to see this massive avalanche of stock hitting the market come September. I think it's here now, and I think it's going to trickle through, guys. So it's not ideal if you're a buyer, because then, again, what I predict is going to happen is I think we're going to see an interest rate come down. Those interest rates come down a little bit as early as November. That's my prediction.
Yeah, and something you got to watch out for is naturally we build, auction campaigns are very popular in Sydney, and naturally what happens is it's a 4-week auction campaign. If you are going to launch a 4-week auction campaign with a school holiday in between, you sort of go, no, wait. So I think what you will find is it artificially held back in those periods of school holidays, which was only a couple of weeks ago, and then it just went bang, boom, now, and all those properties that abstained from going on the market now hit. So I don't think they're a reflection of the economy where people are going, oh no, we've got to sell. I think it's a reflection of a lot of people went, you know what, I don't want to launch my campaign in a school period, a school holiday period. I'll launch it short after. Even sometimes people are away, the buyers, the sellers, and the agents. So they actually abstain and hold back the listing until that second week of when school holidays is over. So that's probably what's happened now. And I reckon you're right that that's it. You may even find it goes the other way. It actually starts getting quick.
So here's the thing, guys. What would I do if I was a buyer? I would be
actually, just a quick one, guys. If you're on Novak Properties Facebook, it's a live show. You have a question, write it down in the comments. We'll answer it straight away.
We will. This is true. You might want to turn our comments on. I don't know if they're there.
Yes.
So, you know, what would I do now, guys, if I was looking to buy a property? Again, this is just my opinion and some advice.
Would you buy now?
Yeah, 100%. 120%. I would be buying now. Because again, if we have a look at what could happen toward the end of the year, I think we're in for an amazing run. In terms of if you're looking to bring your property to market, I think we're in for a great run from now up until the end of the year. I think those stock levels are going to, again, come back down again.
You've been passionate about that. You've been saying
I've been saying it the whole year. The whole year I've been predicting that the last quarter of this year, there's going to be low stock levels. We're not going to see a huge amount of stock hit the market. And that the interest rates are going to come down. I know there's a lot of people out there that think otherwise. But again, that's just my opinion. So, if I was a buyer, I would definitely be buying now because that market's only heading one way, guys. It's not looking, there are no indications whatsoever that this market is coming off. It hasn't done so in the last 13 months.
And a lot of people are saying it's really hard to lend money.
Yeah.
Really hard. So the benefit for you, if you can lend money to now, and it gets easier later, you're actually going to benefit from that because you're buying in a sort of, you may not think it is, but a restrained environment where people can't get the money. So even though you think it's high or it's up or it's fat, it's technically not because it's really hard to get money. So when it becomes easier to borrow money, i.e. rates come down or banks change their lending policies because they want all the government changes some regulation around that, that's going to make the market go boom.
Yeah. And so, as I said, all those indications are definitely there.
Yeah.
If I was a seller and I was trying to work out when's the best time to get your property on the market, I would say to you definitely over the next couple of months. I'm speaking with clients all day, every day going, Lisa, let us know when the market's hot. Let us know when the market's hot. You just want to be careful there because certainly everyone wants to be a seller when the market's hot, but no one wants to be a buyer when the market's hot. So you've got to ask yourself the question, what are you actually going to do when you sell your property? And if you're looking to buy something, similar to your property, you just want to make sure that there is going to be stock available because that's the hard thing. And that's where I see people getting caught out. They sell their property, they sell it for a great price. And then guess what? They can't get back into the market and buy something. So, it's hard. It's trying to align all the stars and get it all right so that you're selling in a, great market and buying in a lower market. It's almost near impossible, guys. It really is. So you just want to be careful there that you don't get caught out.
Interesting.
Rental market. Any questions, guys? As Mark said, it's a live show. Feel free to ask. We're here to answer questions for you.
What do you reckon about rentals?
Rental market. I think there is a lot of false information being reported in the media about what's going on with the rental market. There is a lot more stock on the market, particularly here in the Northern Beaches, than what a lot of people think. That heat in that rental market has certainly calmed down, but there's no doubt that rents have come up. What do you think?
Look, we've just bought two rental businesses, two real estate agencies in our local area. So now we've got to, we were before, and we will definitely even more so the largest rental agent in the area. We understand that rental market.
We've got a good grasp on it. Yeah.
Great team, a lot of experience, and so we're grasping and pulling all that information as well. But the rentals, that growth slowed down. So it's sort of at animal growth. Rentals were going up a lot. We were putting rents up for landlords on their requests a lot. It was probably changing for the last 2 years, 10% a year. So, unit that was 600 was 660, unit was 660 was 730 or whatever. So it went up. But now what we're seeing is it's just sort of leveling out a little bit. So, and another metric for us is how many properties we've got for lease. So when it was in
that's a huge metric for us.
Thank you, Lisa.
Huge.
Yeah, she understands data finally.
What do you mean finally?
Hey, it's taken a while, Lise. It took a while. You're getting good at it.
I love data. I never used to like data. I think that's what you're relating to, Mark.
Yeah, sure. Same thing. But we would normally, so as an agency, we've got sort of 40, 50 staff. We've got all these landlords that we're looking after and their properties. And then what happens is we have opens on a weekend on a Saturday. We've got to rent them out. We got down to about 5.
Yeah.
We got down to about 5. So you turn up to the agency in the morning, and then there'd be one agent running around doing the opens and 5 agents sitting in the office doing paperwork. And that's changed. So we were always used to having 30, 40 properties for rent, probably got to 50 properties for rent when it was sort of a bad rental market. We're back up to about sort of 35 now. So the available stock, there's much more selection for tenants. The price increases have slowed down.
They have.
Owners are still enjoying the last 2 years of increases because it went up and it went up. So it hasn't gone back down. They're enjoying that sort of 720 level on a median rent.
Yeah.
But it's which is probably it's a balance. It's more of a balanced rental market than it was for the last 2 years. So all that, there was the media was having a frenzy. People were, adversely affected. But don't forget, and I know no one's going to cry for a landlord, but it changed a lot significantly with rate rises for a property owner.
Really did.
So I like to call them a rental property provider. So these guys, the cost of providing that property doubled and tripled, whereas for the tenant it went up probably 20%. And I get that everyone's affected, but it's a bit of reprieve for tenants at the moment now.
But it's definitely all calmed down now. So there's a lot more rental stock, and as Mark mentioned, certainly rents have gone up. But there's still some super affordable properties out there. Certainly again the days on market for getting properties rented out, that's also increased as well. So, we were getting like 30 applications coming through on properties. That's all calmed down now. So, but it often happens that when the rental market takes off, the property market usually slows down. And then and then the opposite happens. And we're certainly starting to see that now, where that rental market's calming down, but the property market's starting to take off.
Now, before we go, probably the most interesting that I think is balanced across the rental and the sale markets, that's really changing, and there's one word, and I'll give it to you in a sec. Occupants per household, it has increased. Fact.
Yes.
So what's actually happening is people are being smarter with their money. There's more multi-generational homes. People are having grandma live with them, or grandparents.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more of
parents
that.
Live with them.
Yeah.
They're happy to share accommodation. So because the cost of living has obviously changed, people are changing environments. So multi-generational homes is trending, where we're seeing people, happily. It's not reluctant. They're sort of happy, but they're sort of putting homes together. I.e., last weekend, beautiful home, circa 3.75 million, massive, feels like an acreage, massive block of land. Lovely couple came through, and they're joking about their in-laws moving in with them. But the good thing is they're both going to be selling houses for 2.5 each, joining their money. They're actually going to get to a phenomenal home lifestyle, and the grandkids are going to have grandma and granddad in a separate home on the block. That's that.
We do see a lot more of that.
But that's a win-win.
There's no doubt about
that's
it.
That's a win-win. They're killing a whole bunch of debt. And everyone's meals they're sharing and cooking and babysitting and all that stuff. So there's efficiencies coming to the market from multi-generational homes.
Yep, definitely we're seeing more of that. No doubt about it. So guys, again, we hope we've provided you with some good information on the ground with actually what is happening, what we're seeing. We are volumes based. I mean, I do, volumes with my sales. So obviously I see things maybe a lot faster than the average, and the same with our rental side of things as well. Managing a couple of thousand properties, we get to see, what's going on really, with that rental market. So we want to feed that information to you. Don't believe everything you see and read in the media.
Well,
that's for sure.
The media is reporting on.
They report Sydney-wide.
And it's after.
Yeah.
It's the fact after. So we're seeing emerging trends early, then we're seeing these deals done, and then it's going to the media. And the big thing is it's not localised. So a lot of that media you're seeing is great for the Greater Sydney, for national New South Wales, but it's not like what's happening in the beaches.
It's not, because
fast.
And also, what's happening out west doesn't actually necessarily correlate to what's happening here on the northern beaches. So the best way to find out what is going on with your market, true story, is actually contact your local agent. Right? That is the best way to find out exactly what is happening. And things are changing quickly. It has literally been a roller coaster for the last 12 months, as I said at the beginning of the show. And it's been hard as agents on the ground to get a grasp on what's happening with the market. And again, I think, that's been purely driven by the media, because everything that's been reported is 2 weeks ago they're saying interest rates are going to go up. Now 2 weeks later they're saying interest rates are going to go down. It is damn confusing. It really is. So best way to get the information is follow your local agent. They're the ones that are on the ground that are seeing stuff first, really. And
also the metric there of consumer sentiment is one, it's probably the best metric, and it's a hard one to measure, but an agent can actually give you that sort of feeling in the marketplace, or that metric in the market. It's not a number, but they can give you a sort of a litmus test. So consumer sentiment is, rates, repayments, or wages, employment, economy. It's sort of everything blended into one thing. It's sort of how you feel in your gut. And the consumer sentiment I'm seeing is always more positive when there's no change. When there's violent change in rates, for example, or anything in the market, up or down, it puts people on the back foot a little bit to sit and wait and watch. So the great thing is we haven't had those change with rates, and that's really improved sentiment in the marketplace.
Definitely. Okay, Mark, to finish off, what would you be buying?
Old budget property. Like, nice old 2-bedroom unit in DY.
Yeah, 100%. Me too.
Predictable
Me
block,
too.
predictable strata, predictable capital growth. I think people have underestimated land tax, how that's changed the last couple of years. In Victoria, it really screwed them because they mucked around with people's land tax and made people now pay a fortune per annum. So units are getting away from that a little bit. You're paying a fraction of a house. So
and also those rents caught up as well. So we've got a couple of properties on the market at the moment. One's actually one of our pre-markets, and one is on the market, and it's just had a massive price reduction on it. Those vendors are desperate to get the property sold. And the strata report's definitely not 10 out of 10, but it's also not one of the worst ones I've ever seen. And that property will probably transact at around sort of 790, 800,000. But the rental return on something like that is about 700 a week. So the rents came up, that to me is phenomenal buying. I agree. I'd be buying an old sort of 2-bedroom apartment. They're always rented, those properties. They're never vacant. And, certainly there's going to be something going on with, strata or whatever, but that's all factored into the price, guys.
Guys, we are a live show. If you're on Novak Properties Facebook, you can ask a question. Ingrid.
Hi, Ingrid. Hope you're well. How is the higher end of the sales market affected? I've got some nice high-end properties at the moment, and that end of the market has actually slowed a little bit. It really has. So, anything sort of above that $15 million is not flying out the door. When you say high-end sales market, I'm not sure at what level you're talking. Mid-range is not too bad.
What's
but
mid?
that
3 to 9?
Mid sort of, I would say probably around that sort of 3 to 6 mil.
Yeah.
But that 15 mil and above, that has definitely slowed down. You're not dealing with a realm of cash buyers. That Chinese market has really quietened down. Last I heard, it was very hard for Chinese investors to, get money out of the country.
Still find a way. They still
find a way. But, that has definitely slowed down. There is absolutely no doubt about it. I've got a property on the market at the moment, beautiful home in Mossman, and I was having a look at some sales data there, 10 to 12 mil. I was having a look at some sales data there. There hasn't been a property sale in Mossman since the end of May above 12 mil. So that end of the market has slowed.
Wow.
And that's a market where they're transacting a lot of stock at around that kind of level.
Wow.
At the 10 to 12 mil again, that's also been, it's slowed down. Not to say that properties don't sell. Guys, please understand, every property sells at a price. The market dictates the price. That is the bottom line. And where I'm seeing, vendors fall down or properties sitting on the market for longer than expected, it's when vendors say this: we're just going to wait. We're just going to wait. It's like, well, guys, what are you waiting for? Because this is where the market's at right now. And please understand, as agents, we definitely do not stand in the way of anyone offering higher money. Our job and what you're employing us for is to get you the most amount of money out of the market. But what we are not are magicians. So the market always dictates the price. But yes, Ingrid, certainly anything, I would say to you, anything sort of about 8 mil and above, that is taking longer to sell if the vendors are holding out for that dream price. That's the bottom line. It is all selling, though, at a price.
That's a show.
All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully we helped some of you out there.
Love ya. See ya. Bye, Liz. Well done. You did such.
Thanks, Mark. I'll let you talk a bit tonight.